Alright, so hello gamers and welcome back to another video. So a lot of people have been asking me, how do you make the funny thing on the melees, and what are your best settings, and like, how do you move so fast? Well, that's a movement guide. Watch my movement guide. I might make a new one. That's not a setting. However, there's a lot of things you can do in your settings to make your game better. So today I'm going to be explaining all of your settings, what they do. I'll go over the ones that give you better performance, the ones that are personal opinion, and what everything does. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, field of view. Now this is between 60 and 120. I think default is currently 80 or something like that, but yeah, this is how basically zoomed in you are by default. And as you can see, with a 1.2x optic, I actually zoom out with 60. Now, personally, I go for 100, but you can have 120. This does not make you move faster. It makes you feel like you're moving faster because you're zoomed out. And if you like a lot of freaking view distance, that's good, you can use that, but the problem with it, in my opinion, is that a lot of sites feel like they zoom in a lot more when you have such high FOV. So I put mine at 100, but it's really personal preference. Invert Y-axis is basically when you look up, you go down, and when you look down, you go up when you're moving your mouse. Never turn that on. I don't know why that's a setting, but it's funny. Direct angular input is a really weird one. It was kind of an interesting feature that they kind of thought about adding. What this does, and a lot of people don't know what it does, is you can look straight up, but I think that was already in the game. The main thing that it does is if you have a shift to steady scope, you can actually look past up and all the way around. You can look 360 degrees while sighted in. This might help you on the crane if you're looking down or looking up at the crane. However, I don't really recommend it because, yeah, it can lead to some really weird stuff. It is funny because you can shoot people while you're looking upside down. It's kind of a funny feature, but I don't really recommend it personally. Now, the next one is dynamic stance. Now, when this is on, you basically, when you crouch, will move your gun down. However, if you turn it off, and some people like to have it off, when you crouch, nothing will change with your gun. This is personal preference. It doesn't really do anything. It's very, very visual. I know a lot of trick shotters like to have it off. Now, mouse sensitivity is just your sensitivity. It's as simple as that. If you turn it up, your mouse will move faster. An aim sensitivity multiplier is basically a percentage that's put on top of your mouse sensitivity. So mine is 0.6. I actually turned mine up to 0.8 when I was on my alt account, and I really liked it. So basically that means your scope is multiplying your sensitivity by 80%, which means your sensitivity is going down. Now, if you put it above 1, that means you're going to have even more sensitivity when you aim in, which it doesn't sound very good because it's not very good. I don't really recommend that, but I do recommend having it below a 1. However, it doesn't really matter. It's really up to personal preference. If you like to be able to aim in and then like really start moving around, then you can totally turn that up. It really depends on what you want. Toggle sprint toggle is funny because basically what it allows you to do is walk, and then when you press shift one time, you will always be sprinting no matter what. Now, I actually don't like having this one on, mostly because I'm so used to holding down shift. But if you don't like holding down shift, you can do that instead. Yeah, I like to have this one off, so that way I have to hold down shift. This allows me to pretty effectively walk when I want to walk, because sometimes you want to walk, because a lot of guns in this game, if you start sprinting, will just shoot at the floor, and it's kind of bad, so you want to walk, so they're always facing forward. Double tap sprint is weird. It's basically like Minecraft. If you hit W 2 times, you start sprinting, and you can just hold down shift. So if your shift key doesn't work, I guess you can have this. I don't know why you'd ever turn that on. That sounds terrible. Now, controller is basically the same thing as your mouse sensitivity, but for your controller. If you don't have a controller, don't worry about it. If you do, the dead zone is the main thing you need to worry about. Everything else is basically like how fast your controller will accelerate or how much sensitivity it has. The dead zone is basically if your controller has any kind of stick drift, you want to turn that up just to make sure that you're not looking sideways the whole time, because stick drift basically means that your controller constantly has a slight input in a direction. I don't really use a controller ever, and I don't recommend ever using a controller on this game if you're on PC, but you can if you want to. Now, the next one is toggle ragdolls. Now, this basically provides no advantage. It will make your game run slower, but a lot of people do like how it looks, but objectively you should have this one off. Yeah, if somebody dies, if it's you who dies, if it's an enemy who dies, they will drop a ragdoll. For some reason it didn't that time. I thought I turned them on. Yeah, I did. I don't know what happened there. So these are the ragdolls. You've seen them because you probably have them on. I have them off because, yeah, it's really difficult to tell if there's a prone person or a ragdoll, and it's kind of annoying. Now, the ragdoll fun factor is pretty funny. So basically, if somebody dies in this game, they'll get a little bit of like knockback basically when they die, and that depends on how much damage was dealt when they died. So if they die from a gun that does 20 damage, they will basically just fall over, and if they die from a gun that does 1,000,000 damage, they will go to the sky. And basically what the fun multiplier does is it multiplies their knockback, essentially. So you'll get 10 times as much knockback. Now, on a lot of guns, it doesn't matter, but I actually have the Boxy Buster equipped. I didn't even realize that is the best gun to get with this. Let's see if we can get a headshot. I need to get a headshot. Oh, okay, that's what that does. You saw it. So messed up, bro. Okay. Yeah, see, it actually falls over pretty fast, even if you're not using... Let me headshot you, bud. Oh. Oh, okay. Maybe I run no elite darts so I can actually have velocity. Oh my gosh. They fall so far, dude. Yeah, they fly back really far if you're on 10. Even if you didn't, like, headshot them and do 4,000 damage or whatever that one does. Bullet holes. Now, I like these being on. You don't really have to have them on, but if you're testing your recoil or where your bullets are landing, bullet holes. It turns off bullet holes. It's as simple as that. ROBLOX particles. Now, these should always be off. It doesn't matter how good you want your game to look. I think they look really freaking bad, and if you have like a fast gun, they can really impact your frames. If you're on a bad computer, that will give you like 10 frames per second. It'll like actually crash your game. I do not recommend ever having this one on. It looks kind of cool sometimes, I guess, but I really do not recommend this. First-person bullet casings is something that will impact your performance a little bit. You can have this one on or off. If you have them off, you don't drop any bullet casings. As you can see, depending on my gun, I will actually drop casings on the ground. I think it looks cool, so I like to keep it on, but it has a minor effect on performance, so you can turn it off if you really need to. Toggle chat. Yeah, I have this one off by default. Most people have it on. It means you can see the chat. You can actually still send messages here and see your messages until you send them, but then you can't see yours anymore. And a lot of this HUD stuff I recommend having on, except streamer mode. Ammo HUD shows you how much ammo you have in the bottom right. Name tags. Kill feed shows everybody dying in the kill feed in the distance and stuff. Always have that one on. Radar should always be on. Some people like to turn it off. It is actually a very helpful feature. Keep it on. Round HUD tells you the timer. Definitely have that one on. Toggle crosshair. It removes your crosshair, obviously. And the crosshair in this game is kind of bad. It's super dynamic and it's very, very large. So if you want to, you can use a custom crosshair from like Steam or something like that and have like a very tiny one. And if you have that on, then turn off your crosshair. If you don't, always have your crosshair on. It'll help you hip fire. Hit markers is, of course, hit marker. It'll show on your screen when you hit somebody, and I recommend having that one on as well. And streamer mode will make everybody's name player. It doesn't really matter to have that one on unless you're like tilted by people's like names in the chat or anything. Other than that, there's really no reason to ever have this setting on. Unless you're, you know, a streamer and you don't want to have people's names. Now, day-night cycle is, of course, the day-night cycle. In this game, there is a sun and a moon, and they go around. It's like real life. It's crazy, except it's a lot faster, and it's actually client-sided. So everybody else is seeing daytime or nighttime while you're seeing whatever you're seeing. So if you want to, you can turn off day-night cycle and make it always day, and everybody else will have nighttime or, you know, sunny or whatever. They'll have early morning, it doesn't matter. And they'll have like worse visibility too, so it's really dumb. Just keep that one off, man. Now, global shadows does have a pretty decent effect on performance, and I'll show you with the shadows on. This is what the game looks like, and then the second I turn them off, you're even going to see it in the menu. There's no shadows. It looks kinda not great in my opinion. Everything is very, very well lit, so it can help with performance, and it can also help with, I guess, visibility on the game, but I think the game looks a lot worse with these on. Unlike, you know, Roblox shaders and stuff like that, which I don't really care about that much. The shadows, I don't know, I like to have them on. The game just doesn't feel the same without them. But yeah, I do recommend turning this off if you really need a lot of performance. Now, Roblox shaders is a little bit different. Now, it does actually affect like a lot of the game and a lot of the lighting. Like, you can see the skin looks a little bit more shiny and a little bit more white now. The main thing that really sucks about it is that this skybox in general, this one's not too bad, but a lot of them can be very, very bright and have a lot of sun rays that get in the way of your vision. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it used to be very, very bad. I recommend having these off because they do have a pretty big effect on performance as well. Now, third-person muzzle flashes basically means if somebody's shooting at you, you can see their muzzle flash. It actually doesn't really affect visibility at all. It might have a tiny effect on performance, but it probably won't at all. In first-person muzzle flex, I don't know why I had this on. I'm not gonna lie. Basically what it does is it removes all of those funny little smoke effects that come out of your gun whenever you shoot, so it makes your vision a lot clearer. And it also does have a pretty big effect on performance on lower end PCs as well. It basically makes stuff like the flash hider and stuff not really necessary. I think it turns off your muzzle flash at all. Yeah, which can feel really freaking weird, not gonna lie. Basically feels like every gun has a flash hider on it. Okay, the smoke effects are different from the muzzle effect. I think if I keep one of them on, and I keep my muzzle flash, right? yeah, you keep your muzzle flash, so you can turn off both of these, but I do recommend turning off the smoke effect and keeping on the muzzle effect. A lot of guns feel really, really weird without a muzzle flash because, yeah, muzzle flash, guns flash when they shoot. I don't know. It's as simple as that. Tracer visibility through optics. Now, there's special tracers in this game now, basically to make use of the new way that they render optics. They have special tracers which are like different colored, and that's why some of the new optics like make certain textures invisible and stuff. They're kind of weird and buggy, but it's basically a way for the scopes to be like larger on the inside than they are on the outside. Kind of like this, you know? It's super weird. I don't know how they do it. It's some weird magic that they use to make the scopes in this game, the new scopes, how they are. I recommend having it on. It won't have a tracer while you're looking through the scope. So the second you're no longer looking through the scope, you can see it. But if you're looking through the scope, there's actually like a different thing that you can only see through. It's really weird, but I do recommend having that one on. It could have a tiny effect on performance, but basically not. Now, third-person camo skins, this basically makes it so if somebody else is holding a gun, or if they drop a gun on the ground, you can see the camo that is on it. It will have a tiny effect on performance. And then the first person one is the one that you're currently using. So if I turned this off, my gun would not have a camo on it. But I do like having the third person one off because it has a tiny effect on performance. It'll basically make some of those guns not have a texture at all. But you can have it on. It doesn't really matter that much. Now, the main thing you need to turn off is lobby weapon models. As you can see, like all this stuff just renders in. And yeah, it's basically always rendered in. And it also does make music, which is super annoying. So I like to have this off. It'll disable the music and it will disable all this stuff that's always rendered in. Now, everything else is scaling settings here. Turn it off or turn it up or turn it down. I don't care. So yeah, keep most of this stuff at 1, except the one thing you could maybe turn up, which would be kind of fun, is turn up this. And now you can see the radar very well. So if you want to see the radar a little bit better to wallbang people, you can do that. The other ones I don't really recommend you change. Also, in my opinion, this looks terrible, so I never have it on. And now to advance. This one you can have on true. Basically, what it means is if I spawn and then I'm in like my settings or whatever and I press space and then I die or F5, it'll bring me back to the page I was at before, which is kind of cool, and I kind of want to keep that. Bullet debug. So this will basically show you how your bullets are moving, right, in air. But most importantly, it'll show you the penetration depth of your bullets. Now, this is appearing to have a really large effect on my performance, I won't lie, but that is very cool. It'll show you where your bullets are stopping, how much pen they have. I think that's pretty cool if you're in like the test place or you just want to test the gun's pen. You can turn that on, but I do not recommend having that one on overall. Now, melee hitboxes is very simple. If you melee, it'll show you where you're actually hitting. Now, this will have an effect on your performance as well, but I think it looks kind of cool. So, yeah, this one's a lot cooler than the bullet effects one, in my opinion, but it's definitely going to have an effect on performance. I don't recommend having it, but it's pretty cool. Now, if you're going to go for only performance, this is the best performance settings, okay? Field of view, you can keep that actually lower. You'll get better FPS the lower your FOV is, but please keep it somewhere like 90 or 100. Turn off ragdolls, turn off bullet holes, turn off ROBLOX particles, turn off first-person bullet casings, turn off global shadows, turn off ROBLOX shaders, turn off all these muzzle effects, turn off this one as well, the enable tracer visibility, turn off all the camo skins, turn off the lobby weapon models. Don't have either of these on, and your FPS will be significantly better. However, your game will look a lot worse, but that is a good way to actually make the game run really good. If you're on really low-end hardware and you're getting like 40 FPS or like 30 FPS, that might get you up to 60. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it probably will give you a lot better frames. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a nice day.